Just a couple of silly friends.
Welcome back, everyone, to Two Friends React, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Part 2. Before we get into it, we just want to mention, as we did in the first one, a content warning for everyone. We'll be discussing topics such as religious trauma, assault, relationships, just your standard Disney fare, really. Yeah. So
Just a couple of silly friends.
Without further ado, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Part 2.
Yeah. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Talk about Insult Anthem.
Beata Maria, you know I am a righteous man, common, vulgar, weak, licentious crowd.
Licentious. Big word for a Disney kids movie.
The sun caught in her raven hair is blazing in me out of all control.
He's also doing a great job.
If in God's let her be mine and mine alone.
I liked how they had the purple still so vibrant against the orange.
God have mercy on me.
If I can't have her, no one can. Destroy the woman, destroy the past she represents.
So that was the villain song that everyone's told you about, that everyone talks about.
And I've heard, because I did
Yes.
the villain project.
But now you know the context.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I did know a little bit of the context beforehand, too. It's a great song. I mean, it is scary. Because it's so real. Because there are people like that.
You mentioned Incel Anthem before.
Mm-hmm.
He deserves this woman because he likes her.
Yeah.
As opposed to Quasimodo, who is just so grateful for the kindness that had been showed him. It also, the two songs are one right after the other, which is done very intentionally, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's showing the two different sides of incel, the original meaning and the more modern meaning.
The co-opted meaning.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the idea of the incel was, I believe, started by a trans person?
By a woman. I don't
By a
know
woman.
if she was trans. Maybe.
And the idea was that it wasn't, I'm an incel, I'm owed sex or anything like that. It was just, this is my life. And it was a way to create a community for people to support each other with kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very quickly taken over by very misogynistic men who viewed it as we are incels, but that is a problem, and we are owed sex, and women are terrible, and it's women who are at fault for everything, and etc. So you have Quasimodo, who is to some degree an incel, I guess, but in the, it's not anyone's fault, it's just, that's my life. The other thing about it that I don't see talked about a lot, to point out, is Frollo is easily twice Esmeralda's age, if not more. It's not quite clear how old Esmeralda is, but she's at most in her 20s. And he's a man in his 40s or 50s. So, yes. Not only is it creepy because he's, basically she's going to be mine or I'm going to kill her. It's also dude, you're old enough to be your dad. There's just so many layers of creepy here.
Yeah. This man sucks.
It's also, it's clear-cut misogyny, but it's the woman's fault I'm feeling these things and therefore she owes me.
Yeah.
And
shouldn't have worn her yoga pants.
But as we've said about this character several times, it's a very real thing that every woman on the planet has dealt with at some point in their lives. I'm and again, I'm speaking as a man here, so excuse me, like, for, stepping into the lane a bit, but like, I know enough to know that like this is a real thing, that like this is not a cartoon villain, and that's what to me makes Frollo so scary.
Absolutely. Despite actually being a cartoon, it's very real.
And this applies to every religious group. Anytime you have people in power, the most common way that men in power abuse their power is to take advantage of, the women under their supposed care.
Yeah.
Take them away.
This is before we establish that just following orders is not good enough.
Have mercy, my lord.
I'm placing you and your family under house arrest until I get to the bottom of this. Burn it.
What?
Insolent coward.
Good job.
Such a pity. You threw away a promising career.
Consider it my highest honor, sir.
Nice comeback.
My horse!
Cares about its horse, though.
There are a lot of very awful people who will value the lives of their animals over the lives of people.
To burn the city to the ground, so be it.
I was only following orders. There's a lot of talk about, in today's, there's a lot of discord about police brutality, police reform. Can the police be reformed? Is good cop, bad cop? Are there good cops? I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but one thing I just want to mention is, at the end of the day, Phoebus was the one clearly good cop, guard, and he went along with some horrible things. He was not a good guy for a large part of this movie until he's no longer a cop. When does he do the best thing he does in the movie? He saves a family when he essentially tenders his resignation.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, I didn't really think about that. I was like, oh, he's just a good guy and he does nice thing, and ooh, scary guards bad. But like, as an older person, because I haven't watched this movie in a while, with more understanding of the way the world works, and especially in recent years, with BLM and just my learning and understanding more about this topic, Phoebus's actions have a much different meaning to me now.
Right.
It's
what they mean by ACAB.
The only good cop is an ex-cop.
It doesn't mean that everyone who ever enters the police force is inherently a bad person. It's not what it means.
No, because Phoebus clearly is a good person, but he went along with his orders to arrest innocent people. That's not good. He was doing bad things. He was, when he was ordered to arrest, when he wanted to help Quasimodo, he was told not to, and he didn't. When he was told to arrest the woman who did help, he was going to. Yes, he helped her avoid getting arrested by getting her locked up somewhere she didn't want to be. Like, still not great. And I think this movie does a decent job of kind of showing that. Like, yeah, he's clearly the good guy-ish, but he's going along with bad things. Yeah, he's not happy about it, but he's still going along with it for a while.
Yeah, I like that they're showing us that he has a limit that he hit and he wouldn't go any further, because in humans, we tend to continue down the path that we're already going down. We justify it to ourselves, saying that made sense that we made the steps that we did before, therefore we should continue down the same path and to take similar steps. We have a hard time admitting that we've misstepped in the past. So I do appreciate that they're showing us somebody who is recognizing in the moment, I have gone too far and I don't want to go any further. This is what it looks like to say no.
Viewing it now through, you know, older, wiser, more experienced eyes, his character in this scene have a very different meaning to me now.
Yeah, I feel like this would be a movie we would watch in like a university public policy and political psychology course.
Honestly, yeah. She got his armor off very quickly. I didn't even mean it like that.
She's had practice.
Hey, when things cool off, she'll be back. You'll see.
What makes you so sure?
Because she likes you. We always said you were the cute one.
Mon Dieu above, she's gotta love a guy like you.
You've got a certain something more.
Your aces, kid.
It never occurred to me, but why the heck was there a poker table just so they could make the "Your Aces Kid" joke?
Something new.
That's
Or a barber pole.
I don't know.
I don't think any of that's really there.
Yeah. One of the things that is discussed, the fan theory, is the gargoyles aren't real. They are purely in his imagination. Because they never interact with another
Right.
character. And they always become stone when other characters are around.
Yeah, I was noticing
they-
that too.
And this song is like all this random stuff magically appears
Mm-hmm.
for them. Like I don't think Quasimodo has a grand piano.
when she wants ooh la la, and she wants you la la, she will discover guy. You're one heck of a guy.
This is another song to me that's sort of another moment that is sort of the jarring tone shift. Like Paris is on fire. Frollo has come to the understanding that Quasimodo's responsible for this. Goofy sidekick song.
Yeah, if this was in modern times, he'd be in front of his bathroom mirror or something, like pepping himself up.
Yeah. Or he has mental illness that manifests itself as these gargoyles.
Not like anything else we've been watching recently. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah. But I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's intended, certainly. I think it's just, we need cute side characters who are goofy and funny because that's Disney.
Yeah, I mean, and just like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, it could just be this is sort of how he's seeing things.
Yeah.
Very vivid imagination.
But I must ask your help one more time.
Yes, anything.
This is Phoebus. He's wounded and a fugitive like me. Please, can you hide him?
This way.
I like how Quasimodo goes through the range of emotions here, as in he's disappointed, like, oh, this pretty man that she likes clearly, but he doesn't hesitate for a moment to help.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky. That arrow almost pierced your heart.
I'm not so sure it didn't.
So smooth, so awkward. It's like
Dude.
Kevin Kline. I love it.
Oh, poor Quasi. They don't notice somebody else is there still?
I know.
Frollo's coming. You must leave. Quick, follow me.
Despite his clear pain, he doesn't hesitate for a moment to help because he understands what's important. And at the end of the day, he still cares for her and wants her to be safe.
Yeah.
Not just for his benefit, but because he actually cares about her. And that's not something you see in movies very often where, usually he'd be the guy to get the girl, but he doesn't, but it doesn't make him any less of a kind man. And I love that.
Oh, Master, I didn't think you'd be coming.
I'm never too busy to share a meal with you, dear boy. I know You helped her escape. But now all Paris is burning because of you. Never you mind, Quasimodo. She'll be out of our lives soon enough. I know where her hideout is. And tomorrow at dawn, I attack with 1,000 men.
We have to find the Court of Miracles before daybreak.
Now all of Paris is burning because of you.
Look what you made me do.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you see in a lot of villains do, like, villains say it all the time, not necessarily in the context of an abusive relationship, but like, if you don't drop your weapon, then I'll do this, whatever it is. But because this movie has such a focus on the abusive relationship between Frollo and Quasimodo, it's literally, look what you made me do.
Mm-hmm. This reminds me also about religious trauma and a similar abusive relationship people have with their creator.
There definitely is, and this isn't unique to any one religion, but it definitely is an aspect of, if you do this thing, you will be punished and you'll deserve it. Which is very much, look what you made me do.
What am I supposed to do? Go out there and rescue the girl from the jaws of death, and the whole town will cheer like I'm some kind of a hero? She already has her knight in shining armor, and it's not me. I must be out of my mind.
He does almost have a moment of, well, I didn't get the girl, so why bother? But he gets past it.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Paris burning just like a couple hours ago?
Yeah. Also, mandatory film. Paris is
Mandatory
burning.
film? Oh, okay. Never heard of it, but I will look it up.
Offhand, I'd say it's some sort of ankle-deep sewage.
That is a lot of corpses.
What have we here?
Trespassers!
Spies!
We're not spies!
Got to listen.
Gather round, everybody! There's good news tonight. Justice is swift in the court of miracles. I am the lawyers and judge all at once. It's the sentence that's really the fun.
This is an interesting representation of their culture.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
These men aren't spies, they're our friends.
Why didn't they say so?
We did say so. Attacking at dawn with 1,000 men.
Then let's waste no time. We must leave immediately.
Unless that's his plan, knowing he'd run to them and then he could make them move and basically smoke them out.
Without his help, I would never have found my way here.
Nor would I.
Yep.
Or he just follows him.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like a reasonable plan to just tell Quasimodo and be like, well, he's gonna run after her.
No. Take him back to the bell tower and make sure he stays there.
This is one of the most intense climaxes in any movie I've seen, let alone a Disney movie, and I'm so excited.
Esmeralda has been found guilty of the crime of witchcraft. Choose me or the fire.
Good girl.
You gotta break these chains.
I can't. I tried. What difference would it make?
So you're giving up? That's it?
Leave me alone.
We're only made out of stone.
We just thought maybe you were made of something stronger.
Burn. I like how he gains altitude while he's swinging. That's pretty cool.
That's
Why is she unconscious?
Smoke inhalation. Yeah, smoke inhalation can kill you, like
Yeah.
before the fire does.
Yeah.
Also, you talk about the rope, the magic elongating rope that somehow gets shorter as he goes back up. Yes. That's something that always makes me laugh a little bit. But I wanted to wait until. So, Sanctuary, I get mad goosebumps every time. It's such a powerful moment. I love it so much.
Alone at last. Citizens of Paris, Frollo has persecuted our people, and now he has declared war on Notre Dame herself. Will we allow it?
Hey, isn't that Feeble? Dolphus.
Phoebus!
That always makes me laugh.
That was cute.
Also, like, people are dying here. Like, there's no question that, like,
Yeah.
Quasimodo is killing people here.
Yeah. The revolution is bloody.
Yeah. Like, this is a full-on war. Like,
Standing up to tyranny is violent.
Monsieur. Like this, right here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good thing there's water there.
That far up.
I know. That's
Unless this is the Fast and the Furious. Oh wait, you haven't seen that
Also,
yet?
I've seen the first one, but yes, that's it. And I'm sure they're fine too.
Fly, my pretties, fly, fly.
And Wizard of Oz reference because
Yeah, the tone shift is a lot.
yeah. I once heard there's a no gargoyles edit of this movie out somewhere.
Huh. Interesting.
Oh, okay. This.
Okay. There are a lot of innocent people down there. Oh, dude is dead.
Just the heat from that would kill you, yes.
Didn't we just okay, I thought we just watched it pour onto him. Never mind.
No, he was on the other side of the
Okay.
Esmeralda? Oh no.
Waited too long to rally.
You killed her. It was my duty. Horrible as it was, I hope you can forgive me.
Not really, dude.
I know it hurts, but now the time has come to end your suffering forever.
All my life you have told me that the world is a dark, cruel place. But now I see that the only thing dark and cruel about it is people like you.
Quasimodo.
Dude, you just left him with a knife and a sword.
Well, he threw the knife away, but yes, he didn't know he had a sword. But I love that moment of him standing up to his abuser. Like, no, you are what's wrong. I love it. Oh, chills.
I should have known you'd risk your life to save that witch, just as your own mother died trying to save you.
What?
Now, I'm going to do what I should have done 20 years ago. And he shall smite the wicked and plunge them into the fiery pit.
And that's why we don't stand on those.
Someone's going to the fiery pit.
Good riddance.
Quasimodo. Quasi. No!
Aww. Compersion.
Where did all the lava go?
I was just wondering the same thing. Everything is fine now. buildings are intact.
And no dead bodies anywhere, despite all the dead soldiers that were for sure dead.
Just a couple rocks.
Yeah.
What makes a monster and what makes a man?
Don't you ever migrate.
One last lame joke for the kids.
Lame joke.
One last bad joke. So that was Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yay. That was great. I somehow knew the story and had never seen it. Like, it's just so common in pop culture. And yet I still feel like there was a lot missing from what I had expected. It's a lot more pro human rights. Lots of compassion. I appreciate calling out bullshit racism and ableism and misogyny. Yeah, I mean, it's a little sad that this is still so relevant today. Written by Victor Hugo. Like, when did Victor Hugo write these?
I think in the 1800s. I will Google. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was written in 1831, originally published in 1831.
You'd hope that we've gotten better about this kind of stuff, but not really.
Unfortunately, one of the big themes and the most obvious ones in this is the religious fundamentalism. And religious fundamentalism is in a lot of ways cyclical. We are currently in a rise in the cycle. The 90s was sort of a quieter time for religious fundamentalism, still very prevalent. And then starting in the early 2000s, it rose for a while, and it's sort of been rising since. You could say that it's been rising since the 80s, and the 90s were a bit of a lull before continuing to rise, and it's just getting worse and worse. So you could really say that it's sort of a post-70s. We're in a cycle that's been lasting 40 years. With sort of some quiet periods here and there. But critiques on religious fundamentalism will never not be timely, unfortunately, because the need to believe in something bigger than ourselves and the use of that to manipulate the masses by those in power will always be present. So, I mean, what did you think just of the movie as a movie? Like, where do you feel this ranks for you among the Disney pantheon now that you've seen it?
I don't know if I could give an answer to that immediately, mostly because I often forget what qualifies as a Disney movie because they have just so many titles.
That's true.
But I loved it. I thought it was great. I didn't like that one song. I didn't think it had a purpose. It was very strange.
God help the outcasts. Yes.
Yeah. I thought that it did a very good job of representing real world issues and portrayed as real world issues as opposed to behind some kind of metaphor or silly animal.
It also, unlike a lot of other Disney movies where all the problems are solved by the end because of, you know, the actions of one princess, or it's just they defeated the bad guy and it's over. Like, the entire system was built. Like, you saw, like, no one was stopping Frollo. Like, for me, this movie, I can't tell you. I was 8 years old when it came out, and I've seen it so many times over the years. And every time I get goosebumps in certain scenes. Every time I just get so excited with certain scenes.
Yeah.
But it also, as I'm getting older and older, it hits me in different ways. Like, there are things I noticed this time around that I didn't notice in previous viewings.
Yeah, what stuck out this time?
Oh, well, one thing is Phoebus. What we talked about, Phoebus doesn't really become a hero until he is an ex-soldier. And I love what you were saying about how everyone has their limit, and he reached his limit where he could no longer rationalize his behavior and go along with it just because of the momentum, the inertia.
Yeah.
So this Disney movie really influenced, I feel like, a lot of who I am, as our media does when we're very young. What about you viewers? Like what movie from your youth still sticks with you today? If you have multiple, share multiple for sure. I'd love to hear, thoughts. Why?
Yeah, I can see how this would be really impactful for kids to see, to have on worldviews. What do you think, viewers? Did you see this as a kid? Did it have an impact on the way that you view other groups of people or specific groups of people? Or was there a movie or show that had a similar impact on you if this one didn't? Other kids' movies that had maybe a similar effect on me? I'm thinking of Fern Gully and The Secret Garden. I think those two gave me an appreciation for the nature around me and a respect for the creatures and the land.
Okay. Yeah. Fern Gully just made me love Tim Curry even more. That's mostly what I got out of it. Talk about all-time great villain songs. Toxic Love is up there.
I have done that as a burlesque act. As a mechanic and as Kaylee from Firefly, specifically during a sci-fi show. I turned her into a reaver and had her kill Inara. I liked a lot of the music. I thought the voice actors did a great job. I loved the goat.
Yeah. Jolly, yeah. He what I like about the goat, as opposed to some of the other animal companions we sometimes get, he wasn't overused. He showed up a few times, you got a couple cool laughs, and also, yeah, he was a little smarter than the average goat, but not that much smarter than a trained animal would be in real life.
Just a friendly goat.
Yeah, who's very protective of its master.
I love goats.
Okay. The one criticism I do have of this movie, as we discussed a bit, was the shifts in tone can be a bit jarring because it's a lot darker, more intense than a lot of Disney movies. But it still has those typical, like the goofy sidekicks and the fun little, goofy sidekick song and some of the slapstick immediate, sandwiched in between two very intense and like horrible moments. Like,
which I did enjoy a lot of the jokes and the slapstick stuff. It did help it from being too weighed down, but it was a bit jarring. It could have been integrated better. Thanks so much for showing this to me. This was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you liked it. You're always nervous, right? Audience, like when you show something that you love to someone else, you always just get a little bit like, what's something that you grew up loving, that you're obsessed with, that you showed to someone else and they didn't have the reaction you were hoping for? That was Two Friends React to The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Keep an eye out for October. We're going to do Halloween theme.
Spooky season. Yay. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to engage with you in the comments. If you have any questions for me specifically or for Enough specifically, feel free to direct it to us in the comments.
Yeah. Bye.